So right now we're just doing a topical numbing cream. So the skin isn't broken yet. So this is just to help the process a little bit more. Then what we're gonna be doing is doing our first pass. It's called bone strokes. That's gonna get your skin open. And then that's when we'll do a pigment soak and numb you one more time. So we have you numb all the way through the whole process.
How does it look from last time?
It looks great. You actually have at least, I would say 80% pigment retention. Your strokes look awesome. You healed really well and you followed home care.
I am a meticulous rule follower.
Perfect. If you'd like, we can go a little bit thicker just to give you some more fullness. And touch-up is basically a perfecting session just so that we can fill in all the gaps. Like right here, you have a little bit of a gap and your strokes just need to be cut again a few times just so that we can have that pigment to stay. I'm just gonna do some tweezing while the numbing cream is sitting.
It's always nice to be numbed while you get tweezed.
Right here you can see your healed strokes, but right here we kind of lost a little bit, which is normal. We have a lot of hair in that area, so a lot of the times, not that it gets irritated, but during the scabbing process there's so much hair here that it tends to kind of flake it and pull those strokes a little bit more than other areas. That's why this healed really great. This healed really great. So those are all your healed strokes. Fill in all the empty spots, and my personal opinion is to kind of add right here because it thinned out a little bit. Same thing for here. You actually had better retention all the way through. You don't really have any gaps, but definitely need to touch up the strokes.
This is our brow design. So this is makeup and before we start microblading.
Yeah, so we made little strokes with our wax pencil. First one. So we have 3 points of contact the whole time, 1, 2, and 3 to stretch the skin. This helps so that our blade doesn't drag and gives us a clean, crisp stroke that mimics the hair. No bleeding, barely any redness.
I did good last time. I was barely red at all.
Yeah.
Which I have really, really sensitive skin, so that really surprised me.
Yeah, see, this is only scratching the first few layers of the epidermis, and it shouldn't be, not that it's not abrasive because it is tattooing, but it shouldn't be causing that much irritation in the skin as we're making little tiny single cuts instead of like a tattoo where they open the whole surface. Super precise, nice and slow strokes.
And then tell me about the fading.
So the reason why the fading happens is because, again, being that it's so superficial and it's only scratching a few layers of the skin and it's not as deep as a tattoo, when we heal over, our new skin has that translucent layer that tends to cover the microblade. But that's what also gives it that natural look, and it doesn't look dark and scary like the old style tattooing. But basically it is a cut. Our body heals it like a cut, just like how it would heal anything else. So we tend to lose about 30 to 40% of pigment in the first session. The second session tends to hold a lot better. Also the fact that you have pigment below there from the first one, and then now you have new strokes. So this is just numbing cream that we're adding in with your pigment. This is just called pigment soaking. We're gonna let that pigment dry out along with numbing cream so the numbing cream can get into those strokes. So that when we do your second pass, you're even more numb.
I was telling Lyric that what I feel like it feels like is like if you have a scratchy blanket and you kind of like pass your nail along it, it's kind of like that. That's what it feels like. And it's not the most pleasant feeling on earth, but you're only doing it twice and then you don't have to do it for another 2 years, right?
Yep. Okay, so now we're gonna be getting started on her left brow while the right brow is soaking. Same thing. I always like to start right here at the highest, I call it the highest curve, only because we're not gonna be doing straight up strokes or fully curved strokes. That kind of sets you up to follow the natural brow hair and the shape of the brow. My personal opinion, other artists do different ways, but that's my favorite way to do it. Again, 3 points of contact. So I say that the easier it is to heal, the more people follow your aftercare. So our aftercare is super simple. I like to do 2 days of dry healing. The faster you dry, the more pigment you retain because your cut closes faster. After that, I have them follow up with anything mild. So baby shampoo, Dial Gold, kind of face washes on those lines. We try to avoid using salicylic acids on your brow while it's still healing. And then I have them follow up with a cotton swab of coconut oil. Coconut oil is natural, it's healing, and in fact it actually stimulates hair growth. So Malika came in with a little bit more hair to tweeze today, which is awesome. The more hair you have blends it a lot better, so that's a benefit for sure. And coconut oil is really easy to get access of, and it's just an amazing product to use. I do have some girls that say that they don't like to use it or they're allergic to that, so there is jojoba oil, and grapeseed oil is also an option. Healing's super easy. You're done in about 10 days.
And no working out.
No working out for the first 3 days. You don't want to exert any sweat. You don't want your pigment to be kind of pushed out. And then after day 10, you can go back to swimming in the ocean, swimming in the pool. Also same thing, we're numbing her again, letting that pigment soak.
Oh yeah, sexy.
So we're just wiping off that pigment and numbing cream so we can see what our bone strokes look like. Call them bone strokes. This is the outline of her brow, and now we're gonna go in and do tiny little hair strokes to fill it in and get that color and the fullness in the brow.
And everyone's brow is different, right?
Everyone's brow is different. Do my best to customize each person, following their, of course, desire or what they want, keeping it realistic and following the golden rule, which is where it starts, where your arch is supposed to be and where your tails are supposed to be. But then again, I do let my clients have a lot of say in their preferences on how they want it. I give them my professional opinion.
I told Lyric, you know, I have, since I'm a public figure, people like to be haters, and so I've been hated on for my lashes. So I've always, since I've heard about microblading, I've been wanting to do it, but I've been scared to for a couple reasons. Number one, I've never had a tattoo before, so this is my first tattoo. And two, I was just worried about it looking not natural enough. And so my main request was for it to look as natural as possible. I just really wanted fill in and you know, not to go too much outside of my natural hairs so that people can't really tell. And I have to say, after my first session, that so far so good.
So you see there's a tiny little bit of bleeding in this second pass. Totally normal, very, very minimal. We should never have more than that. That's only because the skin has already been pretty much penetrated, that's what it is.
Right.
And it's a little more reactive now, but still, redness is super minimal. It looks like you just got your eyebrows waxed. Redness goes down in about an hour or so anyway.
What's the number one question you get from people?
Number one question probably would be, how's it gonna look? Or how am I gonna look when I leave? Always the number one question, actually. Can I go back to work? Am I gonna look crazy when I'm done? No, not at all. As you can see during the process, we are barely red, no swelling at all. I have never had someone swell. Of course, people who are really sensitive, some may get a little bit red. Like I said, it lasts maybe about an hour or so. Almost as if they just got a wax. I work on no brows to full brows, and the more hair you have, of course, the easier it is to blend the strokes. But if you have no hair at all, we can totally create a whole new brow for you and still make it look really natural.
How can people find you?
I am on Instagram with Brows by Lyric, and actually on my Instagram, the link in my bio has my website, so it goes through. I have all of my frequently asked questions. I have my booking for both Kauai and Maui, so they can select the date that works best for them. All my information on there, a little about me, how long I've been doing this, and how long I've been in the industry, so kind of calms the nerves a little bit.
Okay, so what's happening now?
This is called the pigment soak. So like I was saying during healing, we want to stay dry for the first 2 days. So because I've been wiping away this whole time to check my work, at the end of the process, I like to do like a 5-minute pigment soak so that all this extra pigment can just sit on the brows and sit on the strokes and kind of dry out on there a little bit. I'm just removing the excess around the brows. And then we'll wipe it away, and it's just kind of a artist trick to retain the most color. Just cleaning up the sides so you don't have a big blob all over.
And then when I leave today, the darkness is about, what did you say, 40% darker
than what you're gonna heal at.
Right.
Yeah. Then again, this is touch-up. Touch-ups, it seems to look a little bit fuller. Again, you have the old strokes along with new ones. Still gonna be losing pigment, of course, but now that you have the old with the new, it's gonna look a lot fuller than what you came in with today when you fully heal this session. And redheads, I've done blondes. I have some girls that want the darkest dark that I possibly have. I do have eyeliner pigment, so I do have a few ladies that have asked me for black pigment. I have not used it by itself, but a lot of times we'll mix pigment, so I use the black pigment with a dark chocolate brown to kind of mix it for them. So like I said, everyone is customized. I like to tell my girls a little bit, if your request is big, huge brows and dark and black, I'm gonna try to talk you into toning it down a little bit.
You can always add, but you can't necessarily take away. Yeah. So 2 years from now, what do my brows look like?
2 years from now, they'll be, your strokes will be almost faded out to nothing, which good and bad, because 2 years from now, who's to say that you're gonna want this shape?
Right.
But thankfully, it doesn't fade like an old style tattoo. It won't change color. It just won't be noticeable anymore. It'll look like your natural brows, again, like what we started with. There are some girls that like to get a 1 year refresher because they like the dark makeup look. They like the dark full brow look that they don't naturally have. Or in a year from now, they're ready to go a little bit thicker, and that's what we'll do. So that's an annual refresher if they do it once a year.
You want to show people the strokes?
Yeah, right here. So you can see this area, the one that we had to fill in a little bit more. It looks a little bit lighter than the rest because of the fact that all the rest healed very well, but we did put brand new strokes in there.
Cool.
Same thing for here. None of her strokes are crossing. They all follow her hairline.
I'm excited to post this blog.
And we're done.
Yay! Thank you, Lyric.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this Life Swell blog. For more musings from this Maui Mama, click on one of these videos and make sure to subscribe.